an impasse. We're at a fundamental impasse about what our founding document means. And we're at a fundamental impasse about how to implement it and how to get justice on it. And how do you resolve that? The answer, it isn't that you go to more government bureaucrats and ask them what the document means. They're only going to give you the one answer. Their answer. We want to talk to our neighbors directly. Even the people we disagree with. We want to start reaching out as respectfully as possible, humbly as possible. What is your vision? What do you want? What's keeping you from the American dream? And make them our partners. And that's going to be a process, but that's the process that will bear the best fruit. See, that's how we make the case to people. That we want the government to follow the Constitution, and if we don't agree about what it means, then we need to amend it so that it reflects our common understanding. And that means compromise. That means I have to give and you have to give. Because right now, we're in a situation where, well, if I can win the Congress, I get it all. I don't have to compromise. That's what got us to this situation where, well, if you're not going to compromise, our only choice is to throw our bodies into the gears until it gums up, until people stop and listen to each other. Don't listen to the voice on the television. Don't listen to the voices coming from Washington. Listen to your neighbors. Listen to the people in these 50 states that make up our country. We are the people. It's our country. The law is supposed to serve us. We're not supposed to serve the law. That's putting it completely backwards. So, knowing that that's what we're up against, that's our challenge going forward. That, groups like Black Lives Matter, I think there's a lot of people who are sincerely outraged at the lack of due process. That a police officer can just walk up to you and say, stop. And if you don't stop, in theory, he can shoot you, just like they shot Lavoie. Because you didn't obey when he said stop. That's not our Constitution. That's authoritarianism by definition. That the voice of the leader is an authority that you must obey. And that you can have your life or your liberty or your property taken from you without trial. That's why this is our darkest hour. There are people who think that's okay. And they wear badges. So to stop that, we have to be able to reach out to those people, because I'll be honest with you, Black Lives Matter, the organizers, they're Marxists. It's that same top-down. They were paid to come in and suck this movement up. In the 1950s and 60s, there were people like the Deacons for Defense, or like Malcolm X. They armed the black community. They got their Constitution. They did the same thing we were doing. I'm going to avail myself of my rights, and I'm going to stand here and I'm going to read them to you, and I'm going to say, if you want to break the law and shoot me, do it. But you'll do it before witnesses. And you'll be held to account. You'll be held to account in a court of law, and you'll be held to account before the Almighty. And it worked. It worked for them. And that's why, in some ways, right, it became so much more important to turn that movement into something else. And to keep those people as far away from the right wing of American politics. Because that same thing, if they start talking, if the Tea Party and everybody else, if they start talking, and they realize they're on the same page, they're going to fire us. They're going to hold elections, they're going to fix what's wrong with the system, and we're going to have to get jobs and work for a living. We don't want to do that. We're corrupt bureaucrats. So, I think I've just about talked myself out, but that's the thing. I'm getting there. I'm almost there.
I would like to get
Sure.
I believe the odds are with us. If we got God on our side, we have everything.
Amen.
I'd
That's right.
rather have God on our side than 200 or 300 million people on our side.
100%. 100%.
Amen, brother.
And that's where we have to reach out to our greatest ally, to the author of liberty, to the one who created all of this. And we have to ask for humility and for wisdom and for courage, because that's what's going to get us across that hurdle. That's what's going to enable us to reach out to the people who are doing this and to hunt them. Honestly, that's what we have to do. We have to reach out to them and say, how can you do this to another human being? Like, if you don't know in your heart that it's wrong, do it to me and listen to your heart.
So it can change the whole dynamic right there. And Middle America finally got the things of what British people have been doing it for a long time.
That's right.
And then he went home.
No, it's all coming home to roost. And I like what you said there. They're coming home to roost. In the 1870s, 80s, and 90s, there was something out here called the Chisholm Range War. Ranching families know what I'm talking about. Other people may need to look it up. It's Chisholm Range War. Interesting part of our history, where at that time, the ranchers were kind of the allies of federal government, along with big mining companies, and they ran Indians, shepherds, and small farmers off the land. The federal government was creating all this land that it's going to own forever out west. And at the end of that period, it got turned into, parks and reserves and national property. And like you said, it's coming home to roost. Now, 100 years later, those same ranching families are now on the receiving end of the federal government's wrath. It's going to take their land away just like it took everybody else.
I didn't say he would. When Middle America saw their sons and daughters being shot, then everybody went home. They packed up and
That
went
goes
home.
last. I see what you're saying.
That's how war movement died, right there in the stop. And it actually had, people have really been putting out since then. So it's taken, what, 50 years to heal from that incident after, like, we don't forget.
Well, and that shooting took place against the backdrop of stuff that didn't get out there much. So I'll tell you another little bit of the story. In the 50s, the North Koreans and the Soviet Union trolled the CIA. They were able to convince the CIA that they had developed mind control, like Manchurian Candidate style mind control, where like you send them the code word and they wake up and act on their secret orders. Well, in the 50s, we didn't know. We didn't know. They did a good job of keeping information from getting out, and we thought to ourselves, oh my goodness, they had our POWs over there. What have they been doing this to them? So the CIA started their own research program. And said, well, it's like the space program. They've got it, we've got to have it. So, and they tried to figure it out as hard as they could. They got involved with LSD research and all sorts of crazy stuff. And they went completely around the bend. They were giving drugs to Americans without their informed consent. They were giving drugs to protesters, secretly, and then giving them high explosives. And then standing back and saying, look at the Marxists making the bombs! And hauling them off to federal prison at the same time exactly. The protesters are dying in the streets. And this creates such a toxic and confused environment. And that's when I say the odds are against it. That's what I'm talking about. The physical materiality of it is manipulated, and you're in that environment. The only thing you can say that you're right is appeal to that higher truth. Something that unites all human beings, regardless of race, regardless of creed, regardless of color. And it helps us see that we all have that natural right to live our lives in liberty. And to try to make the best for ourselves that we can out of the time we're given in this world. And we're supposed to do it together. We're supposed to do it together in the spirit of love. And so going forward, that's what we have to build. We have to build a new kind of organization. And this is not revolution. I think the thing that brought me out here is when I heard Ammon speaking and I saw what he was doing, I got it right away. It's restoration. And the only way to restore the Constitution is to live it. Is to be that example. Is to be activists and to be missionaries and to make it our life's purpose now. And that's the thing, we have to give it all. Our lives, our fortunes, and our honors. We have to be that sacrifice. We're willing to take the time out of our day, the money out of our wallet, and go, it has to be door to door. It has to be, calling on the telephone. It has to be going down to we may eventually want to head down to, the federal courthouse and say, I'm guilty of conspiring to impeach. I'd like to be arrested. Please. Oh, there's 200 of us. Oh, you got room? We're here. That's what it comes down to. We have to look at the historical examples, and they may not be people we'd agree with about everything. Whether it's Gandhi or Martin Luther King or Thoreau or other activists, we need to dig into how do you confront somebody respectfully from the heart. I'm not trying to get something from you. I'm trying to give all that I have. Because once it's gone, well, that's it. It's gone. It's a good place to end. So moving forward, I would say organizationally, you want to look at kind of, three layers.
Right.
Some people are going to be operational. They're going to be going out and doing things. Some people are going to be support. They're going to be organizing to support the people who are doing it. You just want to give some thought to that as you reach out to people, as you begin networking into organizations like the 3%. What are you going to be able to provide? How are you going to provide it? And make those commitments specific. Like there's a Patriot letter writing campaign. You can find it on Facebook. Just to make sure that as I said, we have people behind bars. They need to know that they're not abandoned. They need to know that we're still carrying that struggle forward. And so all these different programs, find them, get involved, work together with them, and reach out to people. And again, stay away from that Nazism, that racism, that communism. They're going to try to paint it onto us. And so that's our purpose as much as anything else. Reach out to people who are BLM supporters, or who are supporters of other causes, and find out. I know it's hard to say. The thing is, we're not, and I'll end there. We're not going to convert people. But what we are going to do is we're going to find the people who are searching for the truth.
We're going to wake them up.
Exactly, and we're going to help them take that next step. Because the truth will do the work for us. Once you have the truth in you, it has to get out.
Right.
And we'll carry that forward as long as we have to.
Still talking.